And we are live. Hello, my debaucherous little villains. We are back, hit or quit, where we recap the weird and sometimes bad reality television. And we're back by popular demand to cover House of Villains, episode 2. When Rob is away, the kids will play. And I feel like Rob has left the keys to the Shelby Cobra to Corinne and Bobby Lights here today, because I am joined by my wonderful friend and fellow agent of chaos, Chappell. Chappell, how are you?
Jenny, we did it. It's beer o'clock. Cheers.
Cheers. Bottoms up. It's Friday night, and we're here for a
Friday.
good time, not a long time, okay?
Yes, we are here to hit it or quit it. The people said they wanted this, Jenny. They needed this coverage, and we're going to bring it to them live here on YouTube.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
Yes, we said not only can we do this without Rob, not that we don't wish he was with us, but we said we'll do it and we'll do it live and it'll be a disaster and a little bit of a hot mess. But that's true to who we are as humans. And I think that is also the energy that this show deserves. So I think that this is perfect. I'm so glad that we got the response that we got after our premiere coverage. Everyone was very, very adamant that we should cover the show. And make no mistake, there was no universe where Chappell and I were not going to let this happen, okay? This was destined. It was written in the stars that our two chaotic asses would come together to hoist up this beautiful television product we've been given. So, Rob is very busy with a lot of other stuff. We are still finishing up Buddy Games. It was never a question of whether we would do Buddy Games or House of Villains. There's room in our heart for all of this. But Rob basically said he will hop in if he has time on certain weeks. He's definitely still going to be following House of Villains, but he said, here you go, kids. Here's the keys. Go drive. And I am legitimately, I can't drive. I can't drive, but I will try. And I've got you with me. It's going to be great.
You're going to be blindfolded, and I'm going to be your eyes, Jenny. We got it, okay?
Exactly. It's Corinne and Bobby Lights, and we're in a golf cart, and it's fine. It's going to be fine.
Yes, and this is not my first beer. Beer o'clock started about an hour ago, and so let's just see how chaotic we can get here today on Hit It or Quit It, because we got a lot to talk about with the debaucherous little villains, and I would not want to be talking about this with anybody except you and Rob. Today is his day off. It's his birthday. His damn birthday, and so we're gonna take over from here.
Yes, and I'm super thrilled about this. This show is so fun, and I mean, I still can't believe that after 2 hours and 15 minutes of this show, no one has been eliminated yet. And that's okay, because we literally talked about this when we did the premiere recap last week, that we said, like, are people actually going to go home? Are they just going to be there the whole time? Like, how long are they going to drag out eliminations? And apparently the answer is as long as humanly possible, because we got a cliffhanger and we still don't know who is being eliminated.
I'm starting to question if anybody's going, Jenny. We've gotten to the point where it's either Corinne or it's Jax. And the pressure is on. We've made progress. They're both strapped into like the evil villain's chair where they're about to get tortured.
So last week, I don't think I ever mentioned this, but I thought that this room that they sit in, and the chair that like Omarosa's sitting in as like the supervillain of the week, like, I was like, it's giving like a throne, but like an electric chair. Like, it just seems a little bit like demonic, and like dark-sided, and like there is some sort of torture that's going to be taking place. And we see, like, as this episode is finishing up, Jax and Corinne are literally being strapped in to the chairs they're sitting in, and I don't know what it's supposed to be like evoking. Like,
been there.
Does it shoot them out of the house? Like, I don't understand what these straps are for.
Listen, being strapped down to a chair in a lair is not the worst thing ever. I've heard, and so maybe it's not necessarily a bad thing, especially because you talk about this being demonic. But we found out in this episode that Jax is possessed by demons, Jenny. And it was news to him. It seemed like that really messed him up.
I mean, we ended this episode with Jax, I think, crying in his seat and saying, I've never been called demonic, not even by ex-girlfriends, which I'm sure that there's probably an ex-girlfriend out there that says, you are demonic. I just didn't say it to your face. I've said it in a million group chats, actually. You are demonic. And he's like, I think I'm a good Christian father. And he's like, he's losing his mind. New York got under this man's skin. She found the pressure point and she says, I'm going to say this man is possessed by demons. And it threw him over the edge.
Right. And I think that's completely, in a normal situation, I'm like, New York, that's a little out of bounds, right? But in House of Villains.
House of Villains, baby. Yeah.
It's House of Villains, baby. Jax, you should have came in knowing that these type of insults were going to get spewed at you. And like you said, this cannot be the first time, Jack. Like, look, I am not going to question this man's Christianity or how much of a good father and dad he is or whatever. But based on, the tabloids, the headlines, the blogs, there's some things that he's done that some people probably could consider a little satanic,
And even if it's not true to his character, you have acted in ways and treated people in ways that they might say is dark-sided and a little demonic. This isn't the wildest claim to be thrown at him, but I feel like a theme throughout this episode with Jax is he can dish it, but he cannot take it. So, I don't think that he was prepared. And it was probably out of left field for him because, had you seen New York and Jax ever communicate? I've never seen them interact before this moment. The elimination ceremony was so bizarre and so funny.
Yeah, New York, Tiffany Pollard is about good TV. And I think that she looked around and in that first episode, I kind of called it. I think that she started to notice she was fading into the background a little bit. New York could actually be a contender in a game like this if she let somebody like Omarosa take the lead and then the people fight amongst themselves. If New York is very likable as far as, having a fan base, right? A lot of these people know who she is. And I think they'd be willing to work with her, if not be aware of her. But at the same time, it's not the best TV for New York. And so somewhere along the line, she decided, I think I'm about to turn up a little bit. There's not enough attention on me. And so to see this elimination about to happen and for New York to just blurt out of nowhere, you know what? You're demonic and you're demon possessed. And I see that darkness inside of you. Nobody was ready for that. Jax wasn't ready for it. No one was. And this is what we get when we get New York. There's a lot more of that to come throughout this season, I'm sure. And there was a lot more of it in this episode.
She, at some point, we know, because we've seen it on the previews, she is going to call someone a blank guzzling something. And I think we know who she's talking to, but I will say, if I'm making an assumption, but truly we don't know for sure until we see it, because I will say if they had not cut to Jax when she pointed and said, this person right here is I've seen your soul and it's dark. If they had not shown Jax, I was like, she could be talking to Corinne, because what happened to her and Corinne? It's literally New York Tiffany Pollard lost one night of sleep and the wheels fell off. And she said, all right, you wanted this. I'm going to give it to you. I am going off on this whole cast and I'm going to give you good TV. And you wanted House of Villains and I've arrived finally. I started off saying I love Corinne. She brings me coffee in the morning. And
she fetches me coffee, Jenny.
She gives, which that's my love language. You bring me coffee in the morning. I understand what she's talking about. She lets me use the bathroom for as long as I want. We started off and she was like, she's playing nice. Everything's going great. She's here to protect her girl, Corinne. And minutes before the elimination, she's they're yelling at each other. So there is a world where I was like, is New York saying Corinne is demonic? But no, she was talking to Jax. So I'm wondering, is it a foregone conclusion here that even though we get this cliffhanger in this episode, when we finally return next week, is Jax finally going to go?
I kind of think Jax has to go here. I think Yeah. I mean, why would you keep him around? Don't get me wrong. There is merit to keeping him around. I'm sure we'll talk about it. But for someone like New York, I think she just sees Corinne as a target, somebody that she can really focus on fighting with in the future. Whereas, like, she has to try to manufacture that with Jax, and it doesn't work. In any other season of television New York has ever been on, if New York yells out that someone is demonic, they're throwing stuff, they're screaming, they're spitting on each other. We've seen it. She yells it to Jax, and he's like, "Wait, what? Oh my God."
He starts crying.
Yeah, that's not good for New York. She needs a fight. No. Yeah, so when she comes down the stairs,
the first to cry is the first to fry. And technically Jax is not the first to cry, but maybe in the, situation where we're deciding who to eliminate, the first to cry is the first to fry here. And it literally looks like they're in an electric chair. So, like, what else do you want here?
He could literally fry right now. Yeah, I think New York, she tried to get the fight going off with him. She couldn't. I think that's like her little test run. Like, okay, let me see if it's worth keeping you around. He folds, and she's like, nope, you're useless. Bye. Because when she goes down the stairs eventually and tries to fight with Corinne is not one to back down. We've seen her stand up to Omarosa. She does cry, but she's still gonna say what she got to say as well. And so her and New York are going. Exactly. And they're going back and forth. And I think that's the kind of electricity that you need in House of Villains. And I think that's the stuff that New York is looking for. So to set this up, Bobby Lights has gotten drunk, and he goes and he wakes up New York in the middle of the night, heavily prodded by Johnny Bananas, who has nothing better to do than to just look for some mess, start some stuff. He's a villain, right? So the next day when they're talking about it, Corinne, thinking strategically, is like, I need to make sure that I have the votes to stay, and I kind of need to keep my alliance, or whatever I perceive as my alliance, peaceful. I need everybody on board with keeping me and keeping the peace right now. But when she sees that Bobby and New York are talking, she makes the mistake of trying to diffuse the situation. This is New York. If she getting loud with somebody, let it play out, as long as it's not you. And she comes in, she's like, come on, you guys, we're all family, we're all friends here. And New York just goes left. I'm talking about, girl, why are you defending him? He woke us up. And Corinne's like, it's not that big of a deal. There's nothing that happened. And that was it. New Yorkers are like, oh no, if that was nothing, this is about to be something. Because what Bobby did was capture a lot of television in that moment. New York has now identified that Bobby had the biggest moment of the night and of the episode, and then she needs to do something to get that back. My queen knows how to make good TV. And so she shut that all the way down. We will not be making friends. We're here to fight. We're here to argue. And we're here to make a little TV, And so that's what New York is good at. And that's what she did.
And I think for New York, it's not that manufactured, because she understandably was irritated that she got woken up in her beauty sleep, and that Bobby Lights is making a damn scene as a drunken mess in her bedroom. Like, it's not like she had to exaggerate any sort of like annoyment at the situation. Like, it's very understandable. But I mean, truly what Bobby was doing was like very manufactured. Like, he just got wasted in the hot tub, in the jacuzzi. They had the jacuzzi party. It was like, it had to have been past 2 a.m. at this point. He's chugging back the rest of the tequila, and he's like, let's have a little fun. And you can see it in his face when he comes into this room, where he's like, I just don't even know if you guys have my back. Like, he's like slurring his words and all over the place. Like, he's putting on a performance. They say he's putting on a performance. Like, they know that in this moment he's just making like a mess for TV. And so like New York is just like, I'm gonna take this one step further. Like, I'm actually annoyed that you ruined my sleep. And if it weren't for the fact that like I can tell you're trying to take the spotlight, like, I'd maybe let it slide, and now I'm going to one up you. And she had the like sincere drive to do that, because she's like, bitch, what are you doing? I'm trying to sleep. Like, get out of here. So it was really like a tale of two New Yorks in this episode, because she was very quiet in the first half, and then that happened, and she's like, she takes off. And I loved it. It was great.
And I think that New York and Bobby Lights have something in common. They have been the star of the show before. New York and Bobby Lights both have had dating shows named after them. Corinne has not. She was on The Bachelor, which, as much as ABC,
she wasn't even The Bachelorette.
Right.
She was just on The Bachelor.
And that's not the most sincere show. They try to act like it is, especially in the Corinne days. They really want us to believe that The Bachelor is 100% sincere. We weed out the people who are not here for television, and then we really try to find love. She was also on Bachelor in Paradise, which, I mean, that's probably a different show. But for Bobby in New York, they know what it is to be the star, to be the center of attention on purpose. And so they're going to look at any opportunity to grasp that. Now, Bobby, in the hot tub. Jenny, you and I, we like to enjoy a drink every now and then.
Of course.
Right. Bobby had lost track of the Red Bulls and the beer. He didn't know which was which. He was drinking the tequila. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt, to the point where he's finally like, let's be chaotic. And again, this man is speaking to my soul. I was like, yes, that's exactly what you should do. Did you catch when he went in and on the way in, he found the T-Rex?
Like a dinosaur?
With the Flavor Flav clock on it. I said, oh, is there like Easter eggs to the other reality shows? Now I'm looking for them, Jenny.
Yeah. If there are signs throughout the house, that's genius. Because we're getting lots of like throwback clips, which I'm really loving that they're taking these opportunities to like remind us where these people came from and like why they're on this show. So if there's actual Easter eggs throughout the house that relate to the people that are there, that's incredible. I hope you're right that there's more.
I mean, if nothing else, the Flavor Flav cock will always be iconic. And so I don't need to see anything else once I see that. But I'm sure there's something else they could sprinkle through this house. I'm loving that they're here to make good TV. I really wish that, Corinne would get a little bit more tapped in and that even Jax would get more tapped in, because it seems like he feels like a reluctant villain until he decides to get into it with Shake in the hot tub. Or, Jenny, if you're paying really close attention, you might even catch that Shake started it. And
Shake
that was impressive to me.
That.
Yeah.
So we should talk about what went on between Shake and Jax in this episode, because it was really like a rise and fall of like there could be friendship, where like early in the episode they're kind of like bonding over being, up for elimination together, and Shake is kind of identifying to Jax that like, hey, at least you got a cool reason for why you were eliminated or why you were nominated, because it's like you're super physical. And then they have this like conversation where like Jax is basically talking about like all the money he's made on Cameo and like his wife's like $2 million deal with Jenny Craig, and like and Shake is kind of just like, oh, okay. And he's like evaluating, and like Shake is like a little baby villain. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like he's like got his training wheels on. Like he's only done one reality show. And so he's kind of like figuring it out as he goes. And so they're having this conversation, and Shake is basically just like, this man has just spent the last half an hour bragging to me about how much money him and his wife make through all of these opportunities. This man doesn't need 200K. Like, I'm going to use this as an opportunity to get him eliminated over me, which, congratulations, Shake. You are here. You have arrived and
welcome.
You understand the assignment now. And so, but then like, he's only halfway there, because then we see him in like the bathroom or something with Bobby Lights, where this man does not take a second to even look around to see where everyone else is in the house. And he's like full volume being like, he's talking to me about how much money he has and he doesn't need this money. And like Bobby's just like making the motions that like this man is around the corner. And Jax is like, actually, I do. And so like, rookie mistake from Shake here. Jax is immediately able to identify that he's talking shit about him not like deserving the money, and we should vote him out. And this is where everything falls apart for Jax and Shake, where he's like, I told you that as a friend, like I thought we were cool. And it really just falls apart from here. And then you get the jacuzzi and the alcohol involved. And I think once Shake was safe, he said, let's have a little bit more fun here.
Yes.
And stirs it up.
It was a good fight. It was a good fight. It was decent, right? Like, it was a decent reality TV fight. I really will say that. I think that First of all, Jack's telling people that he makes $450,000 or $480,000, I think, on Cameo. I just looked. The chat is asking, how much does Jack's Cameo go for? It looks like about $121.
Like, what do you ask Jax to say on a Cameo? Like,
well,
do you ask
first
him
question,
to, like,
how dare you? No, number one,
how dare you? Do you ask him to, like, be emotionally abusive, or, like,
right.
Like, talk about like women he would cheat on you with, or, like, I just want to know what you're looking for when you order a Jax Cameo.
I have a very specific question about a woman in an assisted living facility that I need to know about Jax. I don't know. I've heard rumors, but
you might have to pay extra for that one.
Listen, it might be worth it. But yeah, Jax is talking about how he makes a lot of this money kind of passively. I mean, don't get me wrong, Cameo always work, but it's not like a full-time job, and he makes $400,000 and some $1,000 a year doing that. Shake is like, I'm a veterinarian. This is not the same. And so you're right. Shake is in villain school. He's learning reality TV competition show 101 is the first thing you do is you don't tell people how much you make, because someone is going to say they don't deserve the money. Now, us seasoned reality TV fans, we know that doesn't matter. It does not matter. But if you are on day one, that is the first thing you should know, is that if somebody is rich, you can always throw them under the bus, because there is a less richer person around them, Now, when Shake does the rookie mistake of talking about Jax right in front of him, Jax, who is a seasoned reality TV person, knows that this is when you turn up. This is when you fight. Yeah. And so he goes from 0 to 100. Shake, I don't know why you're talking about me, but I don't like it. I'm from Bravo. We do not talk behind people's back. We don't sabotage. We say that stuff to each other's face. Eventually, he threatens him with violence. He's like, if I ever see you in Hollywood outside of this house, I might get arrested. And I was like, Jax, am I becoming a fan? Is that what's happening here? Man, I love a good villain.
He said, I will go back if I see you out in Hollywood. Like, I will go back to jail for you. And he said, ask any of these guys. I've been to jail plenty of times. Like, he's saying this like with pride, where he's like, I've done it once, more than once, and I will do it again, but only in Hollywood. Like, he's not going to travel for you. Like, you need to come to his hometown. Also, we got this like interaction between them when Jax realizes that Shake is talking about how much money he has, and he's like, you live in Florida, you don't even pay taxes. Like, I live in California. Do you have any idea how much California taxes are? Like,
Shake.
he just went off.
Shake, I feel bad for Shake, because I know in that moment Shake wanted to be like, are you crazy? Are you nuts? Sir, I can't afford to live in California. Are you kidding me?
That's the difference. Yeah.
Yeah. Jax is like, do you know how much I pay in taxes? I'm like, yeah, more than I make. How about you go live where I live and pay a lot less? You're filthy rich, Jax. I'm sorry. I know that your big, expensive mansion costs a lot of money, but that's not relatable to someone like Shake. He is not a career reality TV star. He's just a guy who was a jerk on TV to a bunch of women. Now, when Jax pointed that out, I screamed. I legit was sitting in my seat and I yelled. No, but Jax knew it. He knew to hit that. He knew to hit that button, because he knows. People in glass houses or whatever.
Yeah, but he's whipping those stones.
Right. But at the same time, we're like, I'm a bully. But all you did was wait till you got on the Love is Blind reunion and just start picking on the women. Oh, whoa, what's happening here? I was like, come on, Jax. I might need to start watching Vanderpump, okay?
I need to. Listen, this is a sign of how things can go when you put a bunch of villains in a house. It's like we talked about this last week. There's going to be people that are going to lean harder into the villain, and then you're going to have to pick sides. So when you have two people like going at each other, like, you are finding yourself being like, I know this Jax guy is a douchebag and he's a bad guy and he's done some bad stuff, but I'm finding myself rooting for him in this moment where he's ripping
bad guy
Shake to shreds over the most hypocrisy, like, just being like, oh, you've been on one show where you bully, like coming from a guy who degrades women on national TV. You have done that, sir. Like,
the call is coming from outside the house, Jax. It's coming from inside the house, Jax. It's you. The problem is you. Jax like, am I the drama? Yes, Jax.
It's the epitome of takes one to know one, but he knows that will push the buttons because he knows what it feels like to have that called out in himself. So it's like, it's two people that have like similar energies that are like, they think that they're different, but they're not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Shake could have been Jax in a different time, you know?
Yeah, he really could have. He beat him to it. Now, Jenny, I want to address the chat. Because I think on our premiere episode, I remember talking about, the Jax controversy, right? Because they were like, oh, he's just a cheater. He cheated on all his girlfriends. But T.I. in the chat, so this is all alleged. This is not coming from us. This is alleged.
T.I.
We don't know. We don't know. Like Tip, we don't know. Atlanta's own. Yeah, King of the South, T.I.
I don't know if I'm going to take anything Tip has to say.
Listen, I'm about to say Tip in the same boat as Jax. It's like, really? No, but so... T.I. says that Jax allegedly cheated on his then girlfriend, now wife, with a co-star, Faith, who was also on the challenge. And at the time, Faith was in the home health care at a client's house, and she and Jax slept together as the patient slept.
So that is kind of what you said last week.
I was close. I didn't hit it nail on the head because I didn't really know.
Yeah.
But
I did not know the story.
I had heard. And so, Shake, you might be out of your league with this type of villainy. This might not be for you, but I really would be interested to see if Shake learns the game, because he lands himself on the block when Omarosa says, do you want to work with us? Right? I need to work with you. Instantly, she offering him an alliance, and he's like, I didn't know who you were. I wasn't familiar with your work, ma'am.
Which
but
you
now
should never say. Like, you saw how that turned out with Corinne.
Google. Have you heard of Google?
My ass.
Right. They got their phones. And so, it just felt like Shake missed the bus on that one. But now that he's getting to watch these other villains do villainous stuff. And I'm hoping that he's able to learn from it and kind of use it to his advantage. Now, am I rooting for Shake to win this? No. But at the same time, like, they're all villains, right? So I'm sure they all have reasons why I shouldn't be rooting for them. It just depends on, your mileage will vary.
Does Shake need the money? Who needs them? Like, should we talk about
now we're like, who needs the money? Yeah, which one of y'all needs the money? I don't know if any of them need.
I have no idea.
Cannot use $200,000, right? Like,
that's the thing is, like, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure some of these people need it more than others. There's definitely like, it's not like an insane amount of money that, like, we shouldn't be giving like a rich person like an insanely amount more of money, but like it's not a bizarre amount of money. It's not $1 million. It's $200K, right? But I don't know. It's interesting to me that that's a conversation that's being had here and Jax did it to himself. But I do understand where he's coming from, because he felt like he saw a little baby Shake, said, oh, you're just a little douchebag in training. Let me help you. I am a seasoned douchebag on reality television. Let me help you. And he said, like, look at all these opportunities you can get from doing these shows. And this is all the money that you can make. And like, my wife makes this money and and Shake, villain in training, saw the opportunity and took it and used this against him. So I actually think that, like, while Jax is more seasoned in terms of reality television, I think that Shake has the to use Jax's word, strategery a little bit more naturally than Jax, and can actually outsmart him here in terms of like, I will take the stuff you tell me and use it against you in an intelligent way. So I thought that was interesting. I mean, at a certain point, Jax is challenging him to a physical fight in Hollywood, and Shake basically says, "Well, if we fight, it might be bad for me." But
yeah, Jenny, one thing you don't know about me is I like to fight. However, I also
physically.
Oh yes, but I also know when I might be outmatched.
Right.
You really shouldn't fight Jax one-on-one, Shake. And I think Shake knows that.
And I think he knows that.
He knows that.
But he was quickly reminded that he will
go.
He's gone to jail and he will happily go to jail again. And so I think maybe Shake saw he's like, okay, good shot, gotta go.
Yeah. This is not Shake, but these are some huge personalities, Jenny, that we're getting in the house. I mean, just like so many fights are escalating, and there's so many people who are known for being big personalities who basically done nothing yet. Omarosa's chilling, Tanisha's chilling, Johnny Fairplay's chilling.
Episode.
Yeah, she's put up her nominees and now it's out of her hands for the most part. She doesn't even get a vote. It's very big brother, and so I'm enjoying seeing this, but we even bring in additional reality TV personalities because this house is not big enough. It doesn't have enough personality. We have to go outsource somebody to introduce the challenge, Jenny. It's Carole Baskin.
Okay, so we talked about this last week. We said there's going to be appearances from some other people. Carole Baskin's going to show up at some point.
Yes.
And so Joel McHale King, one of the best reality hosts, he's instantly iconic. Gets everyone to come into the television room. And we get Carole Baskin on the TV, like not in the flesh, just straight up, just like she's FaceTimed in. I did not understand what the point of this was. She was just like, was she giving advice? Like, what was this?
Yeah, so it felt like she was brought in to introduce the challenge, but also in kind of like a charm school kind of way. So it felt like she was teaching them a lesson, right? So Carole Baskin is telling them, look, I too have been misrepresented on television. I know how it feels to, present myself a certain way, but then for once the producers get like a hold of the footage, they can manipulate it and make you look however you want. They want you to look. The public will spin certain things about you, and she knows how it feels to be a misunderstood villain. And even Shake can relate to that. We see the reunion clip from Love Is Blind, where it shows Shake is saying, maybe I was misrepresented in that moment where he said he was only attracted to Vanessa Lachey and spent the rest of the time yelling at all his castmates. Maybe that was something that didn't really represent Shake how he wants to be seen. Right. So it felt like they were supposed to learn a lesson from Carole Baskin. But Jenny, quite frankly,
who was this for?
I've never really looked at Carole Baskin as a villain.
No.
Joe Exotic is the villain.
I felt like that was always the story. Like there was maybe like a point like halfway through like Tiger King that it was like, oh, is Carole Baskin bad? Did she kill her husband? And then eventually everyone comes around and is like, oh, it's Joe Exotic. But also I just feel like for her to try to say like, you get misrepresented and like you have to, try to like get past that and like people will see what you truly are. And it's like, none of these people are here to try to prove they're not villains. The show is called House of Villains. So I just felt like it was like a really weird setup. And it seemed to only really resonate with Shake, who is still in denial that he is actually a bad person. And he's like, yeah, I was really, I was misunderstood more than really a villain. I'm just like Carole Baskin.
Yeah, is he the youngest villain on here? Not like in age-wise, but like in recency. Shake is the most recent villain.
So, for sure.
Right, so he don't know. He just got here. Don't get me wrong. His Love Is Blind season was, I think, almost 2 years ago at this point. But I just don't think he knows what he was getting himself into. So yeah, for him, he can reflect on those things, Yeah,
I just think that it was just a weird appearance from Carole, and I wasn't sure what she was trying to say. And then there was like this weird part where like Tanisha was like talking about her hair and asking her like she thought that she had like extensions in or something, and talking about how like beautifully and fresh bleached her hair was, which I was like, it's okay.
Yeah. The one thing you take from Carol Baskin in this moment is that Carol Baskin was attacked by the world, right? She's involved in this, Joe Exotic scandal where she killed her husband, whacked him, or whatever the case may be. The jury's still out on that one. But the public opinion had already resonated that she was just a bad human. They didn't like her. They weren't a fan of her. People were rooting for Joe Exotic to my, I have no reason. I just don't get it. You know what I'm saying? Why you would root for that man? But okay, fine. But what Carol Baskin always did that really resonated with Tanisha is that she never lost her spirit. This woman just smiled and laughed her way onto the bank. This woman is making so much money now off of appearances and cameo and all this other stuff probably. And all she had to do was take a little abuse from the public. And she just grinned and bared it, the whole time. And so
Tanisha's which I almost think is like a sign you're psychotic. A villain.
Right. Yeah, I'm the fact that you like revel in it. Yeah, exactly. But she was on Dancing with the Stars. Carol Baskin has really capitalized on her villainy. And so I think that if nothing else, you can look at her and say, yeah, it doesn't matter what the public thinks about you as long as, you are happy with yourself. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of these people have done things that are really, really despicable. But I think that's what Tanisha was really highlighting was that Carol Baskin never let it break her. And so maybe that's what they're trying to give them. Now, I don't know if there's supposed to be some larger lesson that they learn by the end of the show, but we got that this time.
Yeah, I just feel like I'm not going to complain about cameos, especially if I'm not paying for them, because apparently like it can get very expensive. I have no issue with these little things where they're bringing in people that weren't good or available enough to cast on the actual show to have like these little so many of these people I would say are more famous than Carol Baskin, but whatever. I just thought it was very random, and I don't know that the message of what she was trying to say even really hit. And without what Shake had to say about like feeling like he was also misunderstood like her, it was like so out of left field. But I love how this show leaves in like breaking fourth wall editing where they had like signing off with Carol and Joel McHale is like, I'm sure you got more cameos to film. And then she's like, okay, we're done. And then she's like taking out her earbuds and is like, thank God.
Right.
Thank God that's over. I love that they leave these little pieces in. It really adds to the show, in my opinion, and like the unseriousness of it.
Right. And Jenny, this leads us to our challenge, which I would say I didn't understand. What does riding around in a golf cart in a parking lot have to do with villainy? Or is it just we just needed a random competition?
Here's the thing. I've been talking recently on the Buddy Games podcast about how low budget the challenges are. The challenge budget is basically in the negative, and these challenges are almost putting making Buddy Games challenges look real expensive, because I have no idea I don't think it's meant to have anything to do with being a villain. I think they're just random ideas that have been come up with for challenges that they said, oh yeah, we've got a parking lot where we can do this. Well, we got a couple of like production golf carts that we can use. I don't think that any of this is supposed to have any sort of bearing on like, if you're a good villain, you'll be good at insert this challenge. It just seems to be some sort of like machination of the game so that people can get themselves out of elimination or become the supervillain of the week. Like they need to have some sort of competition part. It was so bizarre. I did not like. How are you good at this? It's just random, right?
It's pretty random. The challenge itself is, but I think it plays out in an interesting way that really lends us to having these villains, because they have to work as a team, and it's the three people who are on the block who got to pick, who they work with. So that's the part that makes it interesting.
Yes. And that is the one thing where it's like, okay, I can kind of understand the function where, the three people that are on the, I forget the name of the list of people that are up for elimination, but those three people are picking another person to help guide them driving a golf cart blindfolded. And this opens up the possibility of sabotage, which we ended up actually getting. And so I think that I am fine with a challenge like this that is dumb if there is opportunity for sabotage the way that we got when poor Jax, who got so excited when he saw the cars, he said, I know what that car is. That's
a Shelby. Yeah, and he's a part of the Shelby Club.
Cobra. Yeah. And then Joel McHale is like, we would never let you drive this expensive of a car. Actually, you will be driving a golf cart. And so Jax, he's already disappointed. He's a big NASCAR guy. He loves going out on drives with his buddies on Sunday, and he has to get into a golf cart, and he makes the fatal error of selecting Johnny Fairplay to be his eyes. Sir, have you watched literally any other TV show besides your own?
No.
You have no idea what you're doing.
No. And he says, because the producers are just like, the producers basically break the fourth wall and they go, okay, listen, you do know that's kind of his thing, right? Like, he is chaos. He is a saboteur. That's Johnny Fairplay. And Shake tells us, well, my manager did tell me to do some research, but what is the point? Yeah, research me, search. I don't need to do that. And
I'm here to make money.
He picked Johnny Fairplay. And so all of us at home who know anything about reality TV, the people who have been tuning into this show, who are waiting on this episode to drop, we knew exactly what was about to happen, Jenny.
Yeah, and his rationale for why he picked Fairplay was, he seems like he knows cars. So I trust him to help me drive a car. But really, and Joel kind of set this up when he said, like, you should pick someone you trust. And just so you know, that's the opposite of someone you distrust. Like, I think the problem here is that Jax has no real allies in this game.
Exactly.
Like, so he didn't have an obvious person where it's like, this person is going to do whatever it takes to try to make sure that I win. So instead, he had to go to the next criteria of who is good at navigating and driving a car, which I guess was Fairplay in this scenario. But how was it decided what order they got to select? Because, like, what happens if he really wanted to pick Bananas, but Shake picked Bananas first? Like, did they draw for who got to pick first? Because, like, how does that get decided? Like, maybe Jax was robbed. Maybe he wanted to pick Bananas. But ultimately, Bananas would probably sabotage him too. So maybe he was just screwed because he's like, no one is really looking out for this guy.
Who would have been a better ally for him in this moment? Because I'm assuming it was random. But let's say
Tanisha has like enough of a thirst for Jax that maybe like, something would take over her body in the moment and say, oh, even while he's operating this golf cart blindfolded, it's kind of sexy, and maybe I want to keep him around because she is a little thirsty. She says he's like the best looking douchebag she's ever seen.
Yeah, she doesn't want him to go, but she loves to watch him leave. And yeah, I think that might be his best choice. What about Anfisa? Do you think Anfisa would have been a good ally?
I think Anfisa is she's staying out of as much as possible. And I also can see like Jax being like, do you even know how to drive a golf cart in America?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I could see him being like, yeah. So
don't love that. Don't love that. I think there's no way that Jax is winning this competition. And he might not have gotten third. But I don't think he's winning this competition at all, because Johnny Fairplay completely tanks this, and everybody knows it. They're all aware of it, to the point where Johnny Bananas is even pointing at Fairplay and being like, he sabotaged someone.
Obvious.
Because Joel McHale, Joel McHale's like, nobody sabotaged anybody from what I can tell. Stop it. Stop the shenanigans. Y'all know what this is. Johnny Fairplay does what Johnny Fairplay does best in this moment. And it just does feel like, Jax, if you were prepped a little bit for this show, the first ally you need is like a Johnny Fairplay. You need to be convincing him that maybe if you win these physical challenges, he's safe with you, you know, and he can use you as almost like a shield or to take out other
and
people.
And if I go,
you
you're
know?
next. Like, you know, like that's really what he
Right.
should have been doing. This man does not know how to campaign. You need to be globbing onto a Johnny Bananas and being like, listen, you saw what Omarosa did during that elimination where she basically fake out said like, you're a threat, but I'm a bigger one. And as soon as you're gone, like that you're the next name on the chopping block. Like, how is this good for your game? And you should use, and we've, you know, Johnny Bananas is someone that we've seen use his like social powers to get what he wants in these situations. I don't know that Jax even knows that, but like, that's all he needed to do here was just get one key relationship of someone who actually has like social power and like ride that home. And he just like said, no, thank you. I'm going to try and help Shake and then become his enemy.
Right. So Bananas help Shake. They do well. And then Corinne picks Bobby, which is a choice, but also whatever. It worked out for her. It didn't look like she could drive any slower. And when he gets off the cart, he says, I think you beat him, bitch. And I was like, wait, how did you?
Lying to her face, and I love it. Just gaslighting the shit out of Corinne by being like, bitch, I thought you beat him. That was like for real. I love this. So the rationale that I think was made for why Corinne might have picked Bobby, obviously we know they're working together. But Bobby got chosen to be like the like demonstrator in like the real car with like Charlie, the stunt driver, where Bobby screamed his head off the entire time. It was very, very entertaining. And so it was like, hey, well, Bobby at least just saw the course play out. He has sat in the passenger seat already, so he might be able to at least like navigate here. I mean, I don't think it really mattered for Corinne either way. But it is really hilarious to me that Jax with Johnny did so freaking bad that Corinne and Bobby Lights beat them. Like, that's so funny. Like, she reversed when she started. This woman said that she ran over her dad while he was trying to teach her how to parallel park. Like, she's like, there's no question. She's like, she should not be driving.
Yeah, and Jax suspects there could be some sabotage. I think there's whispers around the house. Jenny, we see Jax go and confront Johnny Fairplay about this sabotage. How did you think this went?
This was like a tragic comedy, you know?
Yeah.
It was like, this man is as gullible as he, I think, assumes every woman is, which based on his behavior, because he basically just says to Johnny, he's like, hey, like, I just want to, you know, I just want to be upfront and ask you, like, did you sabotage? And Fairplay just looks at him and says, no, I didn't. And he says, okay, I believe you, and I'm not going to believe them.
Right.
Yeah, I'll take your word. You know what? You're right. It's like, it was that easy. Like, that was the weakest thing ever. He just immediately was like, you know what, Fairplay, you're right. All you had to say was, no, I didn't, and I fully believe you. Like, what?
I wish we could have got Jack saying that to Johnny and then telling us, like, I don't believe him, you know, because then at that point, I would at least know that he's tapped in. No. But for the people who did not watch Survivor, you know, for our younger viewers or for the people who are not that tapped in, Johnny Fairplay lied about his grandmother dying his first season of television back when that was like an egregious thing to do. You know, like he was on the face of magazines and on talk shows behind the grandma lie. This man lies like a rug. Jax, what are you doing? You're not supposed to believe him. And we even get a flashback of Johnny Fairplay on an island saying, you got to take every advantage that you get, you know? And so think about it. Jax, you're huge. Johnny Fairplay is not going to beat you in many competitions. And so when he has you doing a challenge blindfolded where he gets control how you do in the challenge, you got to know he's going to sabotage you. And there's just no way that I really wish better for Jax. That's all I can say. I don't know. Like, I can't wrap my mind around you not thinking that this was immediately some foul play from Fairplay.
And yeah, he just had absolutely no, like not even a split second of him second guessing it, and he just says, I have no reason not to trust you. And then he's like, there's lots of thinking that goes on in this game, lots of strategery. And then like the cut to Fairplay in like the confessional being like, you're an idiot, like just confirming like this guy is dumb as rocks and I have monopolized on that. And then also we get something from Jax, which is like almost like a like foreshadowing for later commentary in the episode, where he says that his demons are coming back because he's been avoiding lying, cheating, and stealing. And he said he's never been called demonic, but he himself said his demons are coming back. So is this a chicken or the egg situation? I'm just wondering.
Jenny, this man is just down bad because he's saying like, maybe he's got some bad karma. Maybe there's some reasons why Jax would have normally been better off in the show, but cannot be anymore. He's kind of reaping what he has sown up to this point, and it's pretty bad. Like there are certain villains in here who know what they're doing. Johnny Fairplay is one of those villains. He is a pro. Yeah. And so, anytime you run across Fairplay, right, then you are in for a masterclass. And so Jax was just in over his head. And so, he's starting to look for external reasons why things aren't going so well for him. Jenny, when he's on the block to go home and he has to make his speech about why he should not be eliminated, he says, well, I guess I apologize for being so athletic so quickly. I mean, he's like, I regret that.
Sorry.
I'm sorry for being athletic. And thank you, Jax.
Thank you, Joel McHale, for being one of the best hosts ever, to call out how absurd that was, being like really tugging at the heartstrings when you apologize for being too athletic. Like,
I'm Jax and I'm jacked.
Ridiculous this is. He's like, I guess I just shouldn't. He's like, I'm sorry for being so good looking and strong. I just shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry. I can't help it.
And Corinne, who has been on a competition reality show before, says, I'm not a physical threat, and just sits back because she knows that's exactly what she'd be saying. I'm here for the team. She did a great job. Yep. Yeah. And I'm not a physical threat. And, even in that moment, we do see Corinne kind of looking back at her reality TV past and saying, being on the block like this, it reminds me of when I got eliminated from The Bachelor. And you see the producers are like, that's what we want. She's like, I know.
Yeah, I know.
That's what a seasoned reality TV star does. They know what they're giving us. House of Heroes would be so boring. House of Villains is what we need.
Yes, because these people know what is expected of them. They know how to make good TV. They know how to give the sound bites. They've spent enough time in front of these, producers that are trying to like get them to say certain things. They know what they're doing. And I love that they're giving us good TV, but we're also getting this like meta like view of them making good TV and like talking about how they're doing it. Like it's just, I don't know. I just like, there's not anything else like this right now. And I'm just grateful that it exists because it's unserious, but it's also like commentary on reality TV at the same time. Like it's smart, but like so ridiculous at the same time.
Yeah. Jenny, do we need to get into some of the lesser seen villains in this episode?
Yeah, there were some quiet people.
Yeah.
I want to know what you thought. So like, okay, so quiet episode for Omarosa, although she does like acknowledge that like just because she doesn't have a vote doesn't mean she's not going to try to control the vote. We get this conversation with like a lot of the women in the house, like all talking, and like Corinne and Omarosa are like, they're having a conversation as a group, at least, where they're not telling each other to Google each other and calling each other bitches. So I'm like, I feel like this is progress.
It is progress.
And like Corinne is pushing this, like, the women need to look out for each other. And like Anfisa's there. I think Tanisha might have been there. I know New York was there. Like, so the women are talking about like, let's get out this big physical guy that's going to beat us if we're in a bad situation. And like, let's work together. And do you feel like what do you think Omarosa wants to happen here? Because we didn't really actually hear it from her.
I think she definitely wants Jax gone. But in the meantime, she knows, Omarosa's played Big Brother. She knows the game. I need to win the competition, put people up, and then I need to ensure that I'm not getting, targeted after that. Like, I need to make sure I'm safe. Yeah. And so if they can get out a big physical threat and then tell Corinne, no, all us women are working together. It's fine. Let's target some of the men or something like that. Anything to keep the target off of her. Omarosa's been here before. She knows the game. And so I love seeing that. Now, for Corinne, I don't really know what that means for her, because we find out, Jenny, that Corinne has a crush on Johnny Fairplay. Right.
Called him sexy little man, which is like a weird thing to say.
Right. It was odd.
Is he short? Is he a short king?
I think he's a short king.
Okay.
I think he is. Yeah, I think he is. But
I was like, why are you calling him a little man?
Right. I'm sure he's kind of like, I'm not loving that. But, Corinne saying that she would not target the women or that the women need to work together is cool until you look at her options for the men. Now, we know that Corinne and Bobby Lights are apparently working closely together. They're kind of aligned. Johnny Fairplay is somebody she has a crush on. Jax is potentially leaving this episode. Who is she supposed to be targeting again? Shake? That's it?
Shake, yeah. And well, the other thing is, like, we don't really know a lot about who other people are working with, because like we saw Omarosa like go to the spa. She chose Tanisha and Bobby Lights to go with, and we think that maybe she's working with them, but we also know she's got a relationship with Johnny Fairplay. Like, they are working together. To what extent? I don't know a lot about what's going on with, like, weren't there like a couple of weird interactions with like Corinne and Fairplay where like it's like almost kind of flirting, but like in a weird way? Did you catch what I'm like talking about? Like near the end where she's like out in her bikini and like Fairplay is like, nice outfit, I almost wore it myself, that would have been awkward, and she was like, oh, it would have looked better on you. I'm like, what is happening here? What is this? Yeah,
and my mistake. I meant she has a crush on Johnny Bananas, not Fairplay. There's too many Johnnies.
She didn't say that she has a crush on Fairplay, but I feel like she was dishing back some flirtation. That's just my interpretation of what was going on. But she does confirm that Bananas, she has a crush on him. He's a sexy little man. And she's also worried about him playing her.
Yeah, because the producers are wild on this show. So Anfisa says, Johnny Bananas. I'm sorry, there's too many Johnnies. Bananas I'm just gonna call him Bananas and Fairplay.
I just call Bananas and Fairplay. Yeah. Just like fuck Johnny. Sorry.
I've been calling these people by their whole names my whole life, and now I gotta change. I know. So so she says Bananas has a sweet spot in his heart for her, and the producers literally say, so do you think that's just how he is, or is that strategy?
And strategy?
Corinne's like, wait, that could be strategy? Oh God.
They literally had the graphic of gears going in her brain.
Right.
Be like,
wait a minute.
Maybe he is that against me.
Yeah. Right. So then she's like, well, am I being played? Because we know that she does like him, but it's going to be concerning to her moving forward that, Bananas could potentially be using her, because we see that Bananas also might have eyes for somebody in a bodysuit.
The scene of him, which I think he was just extremely hungover and like laying on one of those neck roller things while he watched Anfisa in Downward Dog, with like the close up of like her defined butt cheek in her like workout gear. But I love, so he at least is physically attracted to Anfisa, and we get awesome stuff from her earlier in the episode where she basically says like, Bananas is loud and cocky and obnoxious, and that's not something that she finds attractive, and that stuff only works on ditzy girls like Corinne. So like, shots fired from Anfisa here. She's basically clocking, being like, I don't like men like you, but I can tell that you are at least attracted or interested in me, and I'm gonna play the game, but your tricks do not work on women like me. Like, she just like laid it all out. Like, she was quiet this episode, but when she spoke with meaning.
I told y'all Anfisa is not a villain. I've never seen this woman do anything villainous. I mean, don't get me wrong. She ended up in a weird situation on 90 Day Fiance, but villain? Maybe I don't think I would consider her a villain. I would love to know if she is using her Bananas' attraction to her advantage in the game, because she says she's willing to. And we see her stretching. We see some downward facing dog.
She knows.
Yeah, and Bananas can't even give a witty confessional. Now, this man is the king of euphemisms. There's a moment where Corinne is about to get in the car, and Banana says, "Oh, do you know how to drive a stick?" I'm like, "Okay, Bananas, we get it." But
like references as if it's like 2002, like that's where like his like flirting is like stuck in.
That's his bread and butter, and he's good at it. I'm not hating on him at all.
Oh yeah, he knows. Listen, there is a time in my life where this is my kind of douchebag. You know what I mean? Like there is a moment, and it's not in today's society, but there is a point where, Bananas is Jax and I'm Tanisha, and I'm like, this is the most attractive douchebag. It's not right now, but there is a universe where that exists. It does work.
Right. So he's pulling out his euphemisms, but when the producers are like, "So what do you think about Anfisa?" He's like, "Yeah, she's doing her downward face with dog, and I gotta come up with something." He's flustered. I was like, "Okay, Bananas, you might have met your match."
Chappell, though. Like, yes. I think this was after the jacuzzi night. He was feeling rough. Maybe he just wasn't firing on all cylinders. But yes,
I've been there before too. Yeah.
She had him shook. And I mean, it seems like we're gonna see this play out a little bit more. So I don't know, but I do love that Anfisa is like very aware of her place in the game. Mm-hmm. She's quiet. She's acknowledging that like people like Corinne are actually good for her game, because she's just kind of like a more lightning rod version of like what she's doing. Like she'll always attract more attention than she will in terms of like being a threat or like, being a problem. And she understands that people like Bananas are like weak hormonal men that are like attracted to her, and like knows how to manipulate that. Like, so I don't know where this goes from here, but I just feel like in this episode that even though she wasn't like a big character through it, she seems to have a handle on like where the house is and like her role in it. And I like that.
Yeah, I want her to get a little bit more killer instinct. I want her to say, "Okay, I know Johnny Bananas might be feeling me. Let me go lock that alliance up."
Now, here's what I'm wondering. Okay, does she try to lock that in? But because Bananas is still going to be like keeping his options open with Corinne. Like, obviously, if Corinne is still there when we return next week, like that is still something that he's going to be entertaining, because we know Corinne is also reciprocating that energy. Should Anfisa be like kind of also trying to play the same game that Bananas is playing and maybe make him a little jealous with a little bit of shake? Because I feel like, is that the only other person that's like a flirt option here? I don't know.
I think if Anfisa had her druthers, I think that if anybody was going to get her attention, it's Jax. But Jax is married, and Anfisa probably not about that life. Like she's not going to be no homewrecker or nothing like that. But she does like money. That's why my girl is in this game. She's here to win the money. And so I'm hoping that she makes a move, that will help her get closer. Now, Johnny Bananas probably ain't no broke boy, so she probably could get a little further with Bananas.
He's on the challenge every season. He's got to have money.
But I think Shake saying like, "Oh, well, y'all are rich, y'all don't need the money, blah blah." I think that's not going to talk for Anfisa. Anfisa's like, "Nah, I can't even be seen with you."
But if she can at least like be seen like having like having a conversation with him and have Bananas see it and be like, "I gotta lock her in. Like, I don't know. I just think that she might recognize that and at least be like, "Hey, you have Corinne that you're also kind of entertaining." Well, like Shake thinks I'm cool. I don't know.
Right. Well,
I love that we could have showmances on this stupid show. Like, it's so funny.
Do you think Shake can pick Anfisa up?
Like physically, like with his arms?
that's one of his requirements. If you've seen Love Is Blind, we know that that's his opening line.
Here's the thing. He looked at Jax and said, like, if this man wants to fight me, I don't know how I feel about it. So I think that this is more about, like, does Shake have the physique to pick anyone up? I don't think it's about the person being picked up. I think it's about like
the picker upper.
Anyone else.
Yeah, good question. Jenny, is there anybody else we haven't talked about? I don't think we talked about Tanisha at all.
Tanisha was pretty quiet, besides being the one person who has verbalized some sort of like sympathy for Jax and being like, I kind of have a little soft spot for him, and it's mostly just that I think he's hot.
Yeah, I do think there's merit to keeping Jax around. Like I said earlier, if he starts winning challenges, he's not going to put you up if you are aligned with him. Jax is not that seasoned in reality TV competition shows to know that people will keep you around for something like that, or even to find that to be something that would make his, that would get his radar off, right? So I think that for Tanisha, if Jax stays, it's not awful for her. She can just kind of hide behind him. No one's coming for Tanisha right now, I don't think.
No.
And so maybe she's able to lay low. I think she's an early favorite for me this season, because we know Tanisha can turn up, but also Tanisha has hosted, some of these shows before. She knows how to mediate, so I kind of would like to see her go further. And I think that losing Jax could potentially not be that great for her, but she's fun to watch. I want to see a lot more from her moving forward.
And I think that she's smart to be quiet right now, but like I do feel like it's only time before when other feuds kind of start building up that she has like no choice but like to get involved. It's a little too early, and I think that we're basically in agreement that we're expecting Jax will be gone, the one that goes here, right? Do we think that she throws him a pity vote, or does she read the room and say, it doesn't behoove me to like throw a vote on, because the votes are apparently anonymous. It doesn't behoove her to throw a vote on Corinne if she wants to like, pretend that she's working with the women, even though she does see value in keeping Jax. Like, what is her MO here if she's trying to kind of play like an under the radar game here?
I think she has to go with the house. If she feels like the house is voting out Jax, go with the house. Go with Omarosa. At best, just go with whoever is in charge right now. Omarosa can't vote, but you don't want to betray her and have her off the block campaigning against you next week. And so,
especially because she's shown that she is interested in working with her, at least by like bringing her on the like reward or whatever it was. So, I mean, if Omarosa had brought me anywhere, I would be like, I'm so terrified. I will, whatever you want to do, let's do it, because I don't I don't want to be on your bad side. You will destroy me. And I am a little baby bitch. So I do think that like it doesn't really help Tanisha at all. Like, Jax has the memory of a goldfish, I assume, and is not even going to remember, even if he knows that Tanisha gave him a pity vote. So it's not worth it to sacrifice her position in the game, I think.
Yeah, and there were some clues to who went home in the preview for the next episode. I actually didn't catch whatever clue it was. And so
I watched the preview and I felt like none of the scenes showed Jax or Corinne.
We had some people in the chat saying that there were some clues, Jenny, but or something.
I watched it with my own, albeit flawed eyes. They are working at a disadvantage, but I did watch it, and there seems to be a storyline about some note that Bananas finds that is in probably woman's handwriting, and he asks Anfisa if it was her that wrote it. And then there's another clip of Bananas and Omarosa, which looks like it's like some sort of reward. So I'm wondering if we get a new supervillain of the week, and if it's one of the two of them. Maybe it's just a different setting, but it didn't seem like it was in the house. And he basically says that he doesn't trust her roommate. And so who is that Anfisa? Who's Omarosa's roommate?
Omarosa, yeah, I think maybe Omarosa's roommate is Anfisa because Tanisha was in the room with the boys. And then they
she
swapped
switched
out
with Jax,
with Jax. And so, yeah, all the boys are in one room now. So I think
and we know New York and Corinne are together. So
exactly. So I think Omarosa is probably rooming with Anfisa. But this note gate, right? This is not the first time we've seen Notegate come up. There were people in the chat bringing it up. Yeah, and so, well, yeah, listen, that's the most iconic note in
Why is
the
no one
history
from
of
Jersey
the world.
Shore here?
No one from Jersey Shore is here yet. We might get a cameo from someone, but yes, Wild West. Is that Jay West?
Is that Jay West?
Yeah, shout out to Jay West. Bananas brought in the secret notes like his old challenge days. It's gonna be fun to watch in this house. Jenny, on the challenge vendettas and way back when Johnny Bananas would like make these mysterious notes surface appearing in people's beds, in the female contestants' beds, and then people started pointing fingers at who it was. And he's actually done this before. I think some people were saying that his sister's written the notes in the women's handwriting. I think Johnny Bananas has a podcast where he talks about this, so if you ever want some insight into the show, you can check out Bananas' podcast. But in the past, Mark Long even has helped write these notes to stir up drama in the house. So this seems like it might be
old school
Bananas villainy, which that's why we came here, Jenny. That's what we signed up for.
Draw from what you've done that made you good. You know what I mean? Like, Fairplay, make up another grandma that's dead, you got somebody else dead, like let's go historical. Let's go back to the drawing board of like what made you legends. And if Bananas is getting notes written to throw people under the bus, then listen, if you know something works, do it. I mean, half of these people probably haven't even seen any of the, like Shake has never watched any of this.
No.
Shake will never know that this happened. So it can't even be traced back to him. But it leaves so many questions in my mind to being like, if Bananas did this, why is he trying to put this on Anfisa, especially if this is someone that he's like trying to,
put it on Anfisa? Yeah.
Like what's the aim here? So that leaves a lot of questions for me.
Yeah, and also the challenge next week is going to be like a masquerade ball of sorts where whoever can figure out who the most people are, very claim to fame, Jenny.
It is very claim to fame, and they have like voice modulators or something.
Right. I heard someone asking about some condoms or something like that in their voice modulator. There was a lot going on in that clip. Yeah. And so that'll be the competition to see who will be the supervillain of the week next week, Jenny. But yeah, some drama to come, it seems.
I'm not even upset that we are, 2 episodes in and we still don't know for sure the first person going home, because it's a small cast and it's a good cast, and let's get as much out of this as possible. I am pretty much assuming that Jax will go, just because based on the season preview that we got at the end of the premiere, I feel like the content I saw that included Jax, I saw tonight with Shake. Whereas I feel like I saw stuff between Bananas and Corinne that I have not yet seen play out in the episodes. That's just me reading into what I saw. I also have a shit memory sometimes, so I could be wrong. But I am expecting that they will send home Jax, and hopefully we will get some more drama, because I do think that Corinne will deliver. I feel like she's done fine so far. Like, she's even unintentionally getting into fights with her own allies, in New York. She woke up against her own will and said, all right, time to heat this up. So, I think that the heat's been turned on, and that some of these people are going to start bringing even more next week. So should be good.
I need that, ready. Jenny. Yeah,
it's delightful. Jenny, it's so fun.
It's why we came here. Jenny, we do have a question in the chat. You ready?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. So this question is from Jeremy D. It says, of all the villains this season, who is the most real life villainous? So I'm assuming when you say real life villainous, you mean like off the show. But I think we probably have to just compare them to what we know from them on TV. You know, I don't want to judge these people off of, you know, competition reality shows and stuff like that. But who's the top dog here?
I mean, I think that it's hard because I'm naturally just going to pick a man. But I think that like it's hard because you take a person like Jax, who really why he's a villain is because of like real life things that he did in his life that were a part of a storyline on a show. Whereas some of these other people were like playing games where like they're like kind of leaning into a character. So I think that like people like Jax were like, they're not, the shows that they were on are not about like, you know, trying to deceive people and like lying to people for strategy or strategery, as he would say. And he just like is kind of a dick and has like treated people in his life that like care about him poorly. I think that's worse. So that's where I lean. I'm here with New York being like, you are demon. And I just think that like that to me says that, you know, maybe you're leaning into this idea that like you're a reformed person and you're a good Christian father and you've stopped cheating on your wife. But I'm like, there's something there. And you literally just said on TV that like it's taking very little to like bring those demons back out, and you challenged this man. You said you would go to jail to fight him. Like, so I just think that like there's something there that is like not solved yet, you know?
Yeah, T.I., the King of the South, says, first episode of Vanderpump Rules, Jax cheated on his girlfriend and got a stripper pregnant in Vegas, allegedly. So, you know, maybe there's something to say. Yeah, if he's fighting for a top villain, he might go home this week, but I think he made a good name for himself in this category.
Yeah.
He also got a comment.
He gave himbo energy. So, like, yeah, he did what he needed to do.
He did what he needed to do. So also we get a comment from William Yelton, and it says, from the crew of House of Villains and a longtime RHAP fan, thank you for covering. Well, thank you for being here with us. Yeah.
Listen, there was no way that we were going to let this go uncovered, but we are so glad that the response was like very you know, I feel like it was like unanimously like, please cover this. And what a freaking blessing it is that Rob said, I'm too busy for this, but you two chaotic demons, you go have fun. And like, what a dream it is for me to have an opportunity to talk about a legitimately awesome and like entertaining reality TV show with the amazing Chappell, who I literally I could read the phone book with you and I would have a great time. So like I am rich right now. I'm as rich as Jax with his cameo money right now. Okay.
Listen, I wish I was that rich, but Jenny, I thank you, Rob, for letting me pop in and substitute for you. Hopefully he comes back to join us at some point.
Yes.
But I know this is going to be a great time.
We got to talk to, because I love how many people are excited about this show. And you know, we've got some people that are so excited about some of like, you know, these reality TV legends. So we're going to keep it going. We're going to stay on this train.
Yeah, let's do it. And let's bring in some of our RHAP coworkers. Let's see what they got to say about this show. Because I think we all have a little bit of knowledge about these people, but bringing us all together, it'd be like a regular House of Villains here on RHAP.
Yes. But like, I'm not like actually a villain, Chappell. Like, I'm just misunderstood. Like,
right? Nah, I'm a villain. I'm a villain. Sign me up. A Slytherin.
You're my kind of villain, though.
Yeah. Yes, but Jenny, I think that's it.
That's it. It was a fun second episode, kept the energy, and they apparently want to keep us on our toes. They don't want to give away too much. So I think they're going to slow roll some of these eliminations, and that's fine. I like that they're building it up. And I can't wait to see what happens next week. So yeah. Should we talk about what else is going on with us? Like, what are you doing? You're doing 3,000 podcasts, I'm pretty sure, right?
I'm doing a few. So, of course, you can catch me here on RHAP talking about Below Deck live every Wednesday, except this Wednesday. We went live on Thursday to talk about Below Deck. It was me and Chantel. Chantel was there in place of Sasha, who was traveling. But when Sasha comes back, she's the captain again. And I'm back to being the chief entertainment officer on our Below Deck recap. So you can subscribe to that on the Bravo RHAP feed. Also on RHAP, Big Brother coverage. Both of us be popping in, doing Big Brother coverage throughout the season. I will be hosting the Sunday recap episode because Taryn is away and Rob is away. And so we want to talk about a House of Villains.
You the keys.
yeah, I'm taking the keys again, y'all. So check me out this Sunday on the recap episode to talk about the most recent episode of Big Brother as well. And then on RHAP, we still have Nothing But Netflix every week. Rob and I talk about a different Netflix show. This week, we're bringing in the great Kirsten to talk to us about Surviving Paradise, which is basically a mix between Too Hot to Handle and Survivor at the same exact time. It's very weird.
Yeah.
They think they're going to be on the villa.
This. It sounds awesome.
I watched it all in one day. So they think they're going to be in a villa and they end up surviving, but they're trying to get in and out of the villa. There's a strategy that involves. It's an interesting show. We're going to talk about it on Nothing But Netflix this week. So check that out and subscribe to Nothing But Netflix wherever you get your podcast. Over on Post Show Recaps, I have, joined Mari and LaTanya and several other people to create the Connect on Post Show Recaps, where we talk about a bunch of Black content or Black movies, television shows, whatever the case may be. And coming up soon, Mari and I will be talking about RHAP Shit. It's starting soon in November, and we are going to cover the entire second season of RHAP Shit on the Connect. And then Jason Reed and I are going to preview, Lawman Bass Reeves, which is a new show coming soon to, I want to say it's on Apple TV, but we're going to be covering it on the Connect on Post Show Recaps. So check that out and subscribe to the Connect wherever you get your podcast. The Walking Dead is back. And so Post Show Recaps is, of course, covering that too. So we have Fear the Walking Dead. It's on its final season. Check out me, AJ Maz, Jessica Leese, and Josh Wiggler talking about that every week. It's a great time. And then Rob and I do daily Suits coverage on suitspodcast.com, talking about Netflix's hottest show, Suits. So check it out. Join the community. Go to suitspodcast.com/subscribe to the podcast. Go to suitspodcast.com, click subscribe, and follow along with us as we cover Suits every day. And you can follow me on Twitter at Chappell's_show to keep up with everything else I'm talking about.
A quality follow, I must say.
Thank you,
Chappell. It never ceases to astound me how much podcasting you're doing, and you always bring like 100% energy. So I am extremely appreciative and honored that you are making time for House of Villains, and I get to be graced with your presence here because what a dream for me.
And Jenny, I almost forgot.
Yeah.
I'm also talking about The Devil's Plan with Scally.
Oh, yeah.
Listen. Yeah, I almost forgot because it's on the Nothing But Netflix feed. So Scally and I are doing The Devil's Plan coverage. Check that out. It's a Korean show on Netflix. It's a great time.
I've heard Jenny, great things. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a lot of plugs and sometimes they slip my mind, but The Devil's Plan is such a great ride that I'm having over there. It's like it's podcasting with Scally, podcasting with you podcasting with Rob. Yeah. I'm the luckiest man in the world right now.
I'm lucky because I get even just a piece of you when you are spreading all of your amazingness over the podcast feeds. So I'm very looking forward to going further with this. Aside from the House of Villains coverage that we're going to continue here next week. Also on the Hit or Quit feed, Rob and I are gearing towards the end of Buddy Games. We released our episode 6 recap, I believe, today with a bonus interview with Devaney Shea. That should be up as well. And other than that, I'm also starting to cover F-Boy Island Season 3 on the Hot Dummies on Islands feed with Kirsten McInnes. So please check that out as well. And, we're just living our best life over here. But until next week, thank you guys, everyone, for joining us in the chat and on live tonight. That's been super awesome. And we will check you next week. Bye.